I tell dealers all the time, if you don't have one authorized, approved process in your sales floor, you have 20. How do you manage that?
Hello and welcome to the Walk Around Podcast, powered by JM&A Group. I am joined by one of my co-hosts, Jonathan Jordan. Hello again.
Hey, Mark.
We're back. And we are also have the privilege, the honor, the esteemed David Spisak, an authority in the industry. David, let's hear that voice.
Hello, Mark. I'm here for you.
You know,
Wow.
fun fact about David that I just literally learned.
Dear God.
A former stand-up comedian.
Yeah, that's not a total secret in this industry. There's a lot of people that probably don't know that. Former life, obviously. So I'm happy to talk about that. Let's not touch on the exotic dancer part, but just because since I pulled that muscle, the whole incident was not good. But
We don't want to relive that.
No.
So NADA, we're here. There's been so many fascinating stories about overcoming adversity to travel to New Orleans and beating the snow and the traffic and the cancellations.
The fried food.
The fried food. You've been talking to a lot of people over the last couple of days. What are some interesting, have you heard, what's the best story you've heard about someone making their way to New Orleans?
It's a great question, and I've been asking as many people as I can, what did it take to get here? And I will start off by saying, Mark, that, I've said many, many times, I don't believe there's an industry more resilient than this one. And dealers are really remarkable. No matter what has come up over the last 40 years, 45 years since I've been in this industry, from the biggest stock market crash in '87 to Ford and GM thinking they were going to go retail, take over as dealers, to e-commerce, to Uber was going to stop having people buy new cars, to whatever it might be. And dealers continue to rethink and reinvent. They always find a way. So, there's some great stories out there. One of them that just sticks out in my mind right now is I've got a friend of mine who owns a software product, really good guy, and his employee lives in Montreal. And like many of us, he tried to get a flight out, and it was canceled. Now, most people would have said, well, I'm not going to be able to make it. But not this guy. He got into his car.
From Montreal.
Montreal, right. Now,
Wow.
Granted, he
probably thought he was going to escape the snow
Well,
to come to New Orleans.
Yeah, I was thinking that was a good possibility. The other thing is I'm thinking I don't know whether to admire the guy or drug test the guy. Right.
And so he made it.
But here's the
what
thing.
You're telling me.
So not only that, the founder, CEO of this company came from L.A., got stranded in Nashville. The guy gets in his car, drives down. I got you. I'll pick you up. Right? Like he's an Uber down the street. And he drives down here 25 hours is what it took him to drive from Montreal to here. Now, I recommended that he should just leave the keys in the car, right? Maybe late at night in the French Quarter or something, and somebody will take care of that acquisition or disposition problem. But the guy's going to have to drive all the way back. And I love that story because it's a whatever it takes kind of a story. And we're surrounded here. People are focused, understandably so. We had a lot of people not show up, understandably. It's tough circumstances. And a lot of them were dealers that didn't show up. But good God, how much admiration and respect, and how impressed are we by the dealers that could have said, yeah, that's a lot of obstacles and brain damage. I'm just going to stay home. And let's face it, I could get every one of these dealers to call me up or to show up in my store, but they came. And I think it's very analogous to when I'm in a dealership. We know that if we're going to have horrible weather this weekend, we know two facts. Our traffic is going to be way down. But everybody who shows up is a buyer.
That's right. You said the same thing
right?
earlier.
So everybody here, and I've talked to those dealers too, they're so intentional, they're so focused, they're so purposeful about wanting to learn, about wanting to reinvent, about wanting to hear a different perspective or different way, about wanting to vet out great solutions, like you have here at JM&A. And to give themselves and their people the best shot at getting better in 2025, regardless of what happens, with regards to the economy or anything else.
Well, that's kind of the point of this podcast, is to learn. And you brought up 2025, and I think, Jonathan, what we are hearing thus far is a lot of optimism, right, about the year ahead and where that's going to take our dealers and the industry.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked to a lot of dealers, a lot of industry partners, a lot of vendors, and we're hearing it over and over again. People are excited. People are looking forward to this year, curious to get your kind of insights, your outlook.
I don't want to be Debbie Downer or David Downer.
Okay, so you're going to zag, are you?
All right.
Well, I'm only going to say this. I'm not going to zag as much as I'm going to throw an asterisk.
Okay.
So this is not COVID, which simply mean, you could have been, a Mitsubishi store in the worst location, and you didn't even show up to the store half the time. And let's face it, you had the best year of your life, followed by the best year of your life, followed by the best year of your life. Whether you were a great operator or not, whether you had, frankly, great customer experience or not, we're not there. We are in the third year of a completely different business cycle.
A kind of return
dynamic
to normalcy.
Well,
right?
Yes, it's kind of a quasi, and I'll tell you why. Is because if you go back and rewind the tape to 2019, our business model was high volume, 17.5 million units, and we had way too many new cars, and we had plenty of used cars. Nobody was ever worried about running out. We had very low margins on both. And dealers' operational income was virtually zero, and many stores were negative. However, there is a tremendous amount of money below the line from our OEM partners. Our customers, on the other hand, were fueled, motivated, because OEM partners also were throwing nearly 11% of incentives to reduce the price from $38,000 down to effectively $34,000. And then, hey, just for the heck of it, on your way out the door, here's 3%. Oh, and by the way, as long as you could fog a mirror, you're approved for credit. So now, while credit is easing up, and that's a great thing, interest rates have come down 1%. It's a good thing. We're likely to see some additional drops, but are we going to drop back to the 3%? Are we going to roll back prices 35% from 48 to 38? Are we going to see 11% contribution? No. The OEMs have their own challenges, and they're facing disruption, and they have to figure some things out. So, and I respect that. And dealers, on the other hand, I was sharing with somebody, is so interesting. I said, I've asked this of I don't know how many dealers. I said, what other industry? This is how cool and how amazing this industry is. What other industry in the world, if I walked up and said, hey, what industry are you in, and that you would say, oh, I'm in this industry, does it make money? No. So if I said, hey, what industry are you in? And you say, oh, I'm in commercial plumbing. Oh, is that profitable? Oh, very profitable. Hey, Mark, what are you in? Oh, I'm in electrical or computer programming. Is that oh, unbelievably. Why, David? What are you in? I'm a new car dealer. Is that profitable? No, absolutely not. So we have to rely on a business model that has ancillary revenue streams. F&I, you guys have been the best partner to this industry. Not only allowing dealers to be able to maximize F&I, but do it in a very compliant way, do it in a very ethical way, do it in a way that's great for the client, the introduction of the F&I menu. So let's talk about this year. Do we have that same level of OEM to dealer partner money? No. Do we have the same volume? No, we do not.
But it is coming back, right?
Okay.
Volume is increasing slowly.
Okay.
But increasing.
Okay.
Are you not a believer in that?
No.
In that?
No, because here's the thing. Again, I'm a data guy, right? I like facts. So here's a fact. So, Jonathan Smoke and his great team at Cox.
So we had Jonathan.
He was here this morning.
Yeah, I like Jonathan a lot, and I like his team. And factually, we went up 2%.
Right.
But where would we be if we take out all of the loaner cars that every OEM is either suggesting or more aggressively than suggesting dealers punch as loaner cars? When you punch those cars as loaner cars, it's no different than a retail. So it gets punched, the warranty gets started, it gets registered, it's a new car. So it counts as a new car sale. So what happens if I take those out and I take the fleets out and I take the, the rental cars out? Where are we? We're not 2% higher. So is it growing? It's going to come back. But here's the big issue. The big challenge is I think we have to recognize that, it's not like new cars are doomed. Certainly dealers aren't. The best dealers are going to continue to be the best dealers. The ones that are dominant will continue to dominate. But the common theme with them is they reinvent, they rethink. And those are ones that are hyper-focused on mastering F&I, mastering the client experience, mastering used cars, and mastering fixed ops, and then running a spectacular business below the line. Anybody that's going to hyper-focus or disproportionately focused, in my opinion, on new cars, it's an inherently unprofitable endeavor. So we need new cars. New cars used to be, used cars used to be the icing on the cake, and new cars were the cake. Now used cars is the cake.
Right.
So you look at every used car dealer that is a fantastic operator at 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, their economy is great. It doesn't matter what franchise they have. Doesn't matter if they're rural. Doesn't matter if they're in a metro market. Doesn't matter. They're winning. So what does that say? It says if you could build a fantastic used car operation, become the best partner you can in new cars, and then create a phenomenal ownership experience that drives retention. In fixed, you're going to win forever. I don't care who comes to disrupt, you're going to win. And that's future-proofing a store. If you hyper-focus on new cars, which to me is analogous to the all-you-can-eat seafood buffet in Vegas, right? I'm pretty sure that's not profitable. Bobby comes in and takes 17 plates of lobster. I'm pretty sure there was no margin on that deal. But they have to walk through the casino to get there, and they got to walk through the casino to get out. That casino is used cars, it's fixed, and it's F&I.
That's great perspective. I'm thinking about becoming a plumber now after that.
It's very profitable.
That's what I hear. David, you talked about the customer experience. And I think sometimes when I come to NADA, I walk the floor, I have a little bit of like deja vu when it comes to digital retailing, because it seems like we're presenting this thing every year as like this new thing. But if you'd have come here 10 years ago, like we were having a lot of the same conversations. And it
Groundhog
seemed,
Day.
yeah. And so I guess my question is, why is that? Like, why has our industry really kind of almost stalled on that subject a little bit? Or have they? If you disagree with that, I'm curious.
But again, I love the innovators. And if one common hallmark of innovators is I think traditionally they have counterintuitive thinking. I'm a big fan of the non-obvious. I'm a big fan of counterintuitive thinking. So at my store, don't hate me, digital marketers or anything else, but I eliminated new car advertising. We outperformed every Mercedes store in the country. We grew from $1.3 million all the way up to $30 million. We had the best market share. We had 3% retention. We had a fixed ops department that went from $700,000 to $2.4 million a month. I don't know, where's the miss? So how did we do that? Well, we had a remarkable client culture which had been created by the Smythe family originally, and it was our job to carry that forward. We also created, a great client experience. So I think that every one of those stores, in order to accomplish that today, the challenge is I think that we're focusing sometimes on the wrong things. So we focus on the money instead of focusing on what creates that. And you can't get to the money until you have a high level of retention, right? We had 97% employee retention. So if we're still turning over 50% of our employees, please tell me, how do I get traction in my culture? Tell me how I can look somebody in the eye and say, this is the place you want to work for a year. How do I do that? How do I create esprit de corps? And so you have to start by changing your culture. You have to start by taking the mission statement down, which oftentimes, it's hard for a dealership to live up to. And instead of having that, you have to make a real commitment to developing your people, to elevating the way you recruit people, to elevating the way you onboard people, and investing in your people so that they know how important they are and what a great role they play and how proud they are. So I was just sharing with somebody, they were telling me about, they want to create an incentive for being one of the, being named best dealership to work for. And I said, 100%. I said, you know what's funny? A store that's named best dealership to work for tomorrow, people are prouder. People,
Absolutely.
they look different. They stand taller. When they go to a party, where do you work for? They say, they're going to tell you. They don't go, hey, Mr. Ford, right? They don't. And if they were thinking about leaving yesterday, they're not thinking about, they're going, oh, I don't know, why am I leaving this place? It's a great place to work for. It says right there. But in order to achieve that, there's no dealership that does that doesn't have a complete passion and commitment to developing their people, right? And so we talk all day about wanting to reduce friction. But if you have a tech stack that is creating friction for your client-facing people, I can't give you what I don't have. And if I don't have a frictionless environment, Mark, I can't deliver that to you, right? And so I've got to work on things from the tech stack to make sure that I have a seamless tech stack that allows my people to be able to do their jobs as easy as possible. I've got to create a culture that allows people to feel proud of where they work. And then I got to start thinking and focusing on the right things. Process isn't sexy, but what it creates is sexy. Name every top performing company, most valuable company in the world. Starbucks is not one of them, but they're very valuable. 82,000 permutations of coffee. And if you walk up at that counter and ask for any one of the 82,000 in Shanghai and Des Moines and Honolulu and New York, it will be exactly the right one, right? Process. If I go to FedEx right here across the street, I got to deliver a package. You think that kid majored in logistics? No. The genius is in the process. The process makes the person look fantastic. And when you go to stores that have fantastic processes, what it does is it tells me squarely, what do you expect from me? Mm-hmm. And what do I have to do to elevate? But it also allows my managers to assess everybody on the same plane. I tell dealers all the time, if you don't have one authorized, approved process in your sales floor, you have 20. How do you manage that? So I think we need to start focusing on the non-obvious. We need to start focusing on the indirect, right? Law of indirect effort.
Especially if you're a dealer that is looking to grow, right? If you have one store that does it really well, how do you do that at your next store? How do you do that on the third store? Oof. And making sure that there's that process, right? That people are bought in, they feel a part of something bigger than themselves, and therefore it creates that retention, right? That employee experience that then they can deliver that to the customer.
You're 100% right. I mean, think about this. What is the biggest obstacle or inhibitor to growth for consolidators? Is it capital or is it human capital, right? It's the bench.
Right.
Where oftentimes I'll hear dealers where they have this opportunity to buy a group or buy a great store. I don't have an operator to put in there. I don't have a great fixed ops director. I don't have a great controller. I don't have, well, you have to have those at the ready. And here's the beauty, is maybe you're not looking at buying a store. But, for example, if you develop me and I'm a salesperson and you develop me so I go from being an entry-level salesperson to a, whatever you want to call it, master salesperson, to a senior salesperson, to a lead salesperson, you could give me a development path. Ultimately, you could also allow me at some point to take a class as a manager, right? A management class. So that when an opportunity comes up, because I've proven myself, not just in performance, but in terms of I am great for your culture, I'm reliable, I do what I'm supposed to do without being told. Now you get that store over there and I go, okay, I'm going to put Jonathan right over here. And then I'm going to take Mark and move him from this store over to this store. And I'm not going to miss a beat. But otherwise, you see stores that they acquire a store and it takes them months, years, sometimes it never gets to a point to where they get the growth that they really know they should be getting out of that store. And it all rests right there on development, Mark.
David, have you thought about doing an audiobook? I feel like we're not doing a good job as hosts because we're just sitting here listening to you.
This is great.
You know, it's funny. I'll tell you that this is amusing. So I'm at a business conference, which I've told the guy, so I could say this on the air. I said it's a terrible name. It was Business Bourbons and Cigar.
Yes,
and I think
we've heard of it.
We're familiar.
And it is one of the best events. If you're a dealer, of all the events you can go to, it is remarkable, right? Because it's dealers, managers, vendors, and OEM coming together to solve real problems. It's like nothing else I've been. It's great. However, you know, imagine a manager and saying, yeah, boss, I want to go to this, it's a work event. Okay, well, what is it? It's business, bourbon, and cigars. Like, stop it, right? It just sounds like a total boondoggle, right? Right, doesn't it? So why don't you throw nightclub in there, right? Right, and after. So it's business, bourbon, cigars, and after party. So, you know, but the thing is, you know, when I go to that event, one of the things that I love about it is people being able to solve just really big problems by getting together with people and getting different perspectives on things and looking at things very, very differently. So,
David, as you go to those
but
events,
I got to finish this. So I'm at one in Lexington, right? And they want to take us to the horse track. Shocking, right?
Not a boondoggle.
Yeah. No, it's pure work. we were going there to look at our financial statements while we were looking at the horses.
Oh, okay.
So, anyways, there's a great guy by the name of Tim Cox. Car Now is the company.
Right.
Great guy. Nicest guy in the world. This is no joke. He comes up to me and he says, David, he says, this is going to sound weird. He says, but he says, you have a really good voice. And, you know, I listen to your podcast just because, you know, you got a very soothing kind of voice. He says, would you do me a favor? I said, yeah, sure. He says, can you just call my phone? And could you leave me a voicemail message so it's something I could listen to, you know, at the end of the evening? And I thought, okay, it's weird.
I'm going to do that with this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm just going to listen to it.
Yeah, so I said, okay, sure. So he calls me up and I go, hi, Tim. It's David. You know, you've had a tough day. You've put in the time, the effort, and the work, Tim. But now it's time to make time for yourself. Tim, it's time to just sit down, relax, and start focusing on what you want to happen. Tim, you don't get in life what you want. You get what you expect, and you need to expect the best because you deserve the best, right? And the guy actually told me after the fact, he says, I listened to that.
You know, you should do Cameo.
My God.
You've seen
No,
Cameo,
what is
right?
that? No.
It's where you can go on, you could find a celebrity or a person.
Like a Z-list celebrity like me.
Get them to wish you a happy birthday or to do something.
Oh, yeah. So all right. So listen, men and women, boys and girls. If you want me to do a cameo, all you need is, I don't know, just Zell me like $1. It's reasonable. And I offer a full money back guarantee. If you don't go to sleep listening to me, telling you what you should be doing, I will give you your $1 back.
So, David,
This is amazing and slightly creepy.
Slightly?
Yeah. So, David, when you go to these events, you know, you've been at NEDA now almost
Over
2
30
days.
years. Yeah. Oh,
Many
geez,
years.
It
but
feels like
yes,
30
for
years.
For this particular event, as we wrap up, because we could talk to you all the rest of the evening.
Oh, you're so nice. Thank you.
You're a dealer.
What hotel are you staying at? I'll come by.
You're a dealer in 2025, and you got to pay attention to one thing. Is it training? Is it process, as you were talking about?
Oof.
Is it
How do you pick
data?
one thing?
Yeah, I
Honestly.
mean, this is
a tough question,
This is a
Mark.
tough question. But, you know, David is used to handling these tough questions.
Yeah, I am.
One thing. I'm not saying the only thing, but, like, what's on top? What's at the top of the list for you as a dealer in 2025, considering you are one of, you know, the only, well, not the only, but among the people we've talked to, you're not as optimistic about 2025. There's positivity, there's opportunity, right? So
I'm
what's the
highly
thing?
optimistic
Yes.
for those that are focused on the right things.
And what is that right thing?
It's people.
People.
I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you could split the atom there, people between associates and clients. But if you're not focused on people, if you're focused on money, money's not going to come. I tell dealers on the used car side of the world, if you focus on gross, you're not going to make gross. If you want a maximum gross, You can't focus on gross. You have to focus on sales turn. If you want to sell cars, you got to focus on what it takes to make that happen, right? If you want to get maximum, I want to get more productivity. Okay, but everybody's doing the same thing they've been doing with the same information they've had. Here's an idea. Why don't we elevate them? You guys a great product, I think that you guys, I believe that you guys invested in, Rocked.
Yes.
That Marco Schnabel and that team created. And I think it's spectacular for a couple reasons. Number one, it's on the mobile, right? Where are we? 99, like a disturbing amount of time. It's mobile, okay? So everybody's got this all day long. Number two, it's accessible. It's easy. Number three, I tried it. The sessions, I've got clients that use it. The sessions are 90 seconds or 2 minutes long. So, I mean, if I'm about to sit down with Jonathan, you know, and I don't have David around to whisper in my ear and say, hey, Jonathan,
unless
you
you
can
get
do
his
this.
audiobook
You can
or
do
his
this,
cameo.
right? So
I got to get a voicemail.
but you can pick that thing up. If you're a service advisor, if you're a technician, if you're a sales manager, if you're a salesperson, you could pick that thing up and elevate. You could change where your brain is. You could reprogram your thinking. You could change your pattern, you know, in an instant. And now you're ready for more. But more importantly, you could spend literally, I think, 10, 15 minutes a day in these 90-second, 2-minute segments. And I find out from my clients, for $500 a month, like, okay, guys, if it's not worth $500 a month in my brain to elevate our culture, and if you don't have a formal training team inside, I would do that in 2 seconds. You got to elevate your team. If they get better, the experience gets better. If the experience gets better, customers are happier. And, you know, Forbes did an interesting research, I don't know, a year plus ago, and McKinsey did as well. And McKinsey said the experience is now more important than the features on the car. What? Okay, and Forbes said that when people got a superior experience, they said they're willing to pay 10% more. No, wait a minute, time out. Most cars between invoice and sticker is 7% or less. I'd take 10% or more. And here's what the most startling thing was. To their surprise, even Gen Z felt the same way. So think about this. How are we going to deliver that spectacular experience? Well, we're going to do that by elevating our people. And by doing that, it's such a massive win because your culture's better. All of a sudden, you know, the profit's going to get better as a byproduct. And you never know, maybe you end up being named, you know, best dealership to work for.
I love that message. I mean, I think we couldn't agree more. And David, like I said, we could spend all day, all night. I think you should do a TED Talk. I think you should do an audiobook.
You're so nice. Thank you.
Voicemail messages.
Thank you.
Where can people find you?
Right here. Are you drinking?
Literally
I'm
right
literally
here, I
right
know.
in front of
but
you.
But let's say beyond New Orleans.
Do you see this?
What's the website? What's the
Jonathan.
podcast?
It's been a long day.
Give us
Yes.
a
No more O'Douls for Mark.
give us where. Where can
Okay.
people reach out?
So I'm super mobile. So if you're in New Orleans, you know, you could reach out. You could find me. You could hit me up on LinkedIn. You could DM me. You could go to davidspisak.com and find me. You could go to Disruptive Growth Solutions. You could go to my YouTube channel, Disruptive Growth Solutions. And, you know, you can call me. You could text me. Find me, DM me, hit me up. I'd be happy to talk to you. Maybe I'll even do a voicemail message. I don't know. Weird, but I'll do that. But they could find me there, and I would love to connect with people. I love facilitating relationships. I love doing anything I can do to have a positive imprint on this business that I love so much. 45 years in, and I've never been even more passionate about it.
Well, you can certainly feel that. And when David Spisak speaks, you should probably be listening.
You're so kind. Thank you.
David, thank you so much for joining
David.
us.
Thank
Have
you,
a
guys.
great rest
Appreciate
of the show,
it.
and we'll see you again next time.
All the best to you and the team at JM&A.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, bye, guys.
We really appreciate you joining us today on The Walk Around, and we hope you enjoyed the episode. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow us. We look forward to seeing you next time on The Walk Around.